So without further ado, I'm going to turn you over to our beloved Brendan Constantine. Thank you for coming, Brendan.
Hey there. Thank you so much for making us so welcome. And I'm very excited to present these students, all of whom in one way or another have distinguished themselves in the time that I've known them as earnest and thoughtful writers, and writers who continue to, I'm going to be a little vulgar here, but I feel like I want to make this point in the worst way, who continue to sort of hand me my ass when it comes to my understanding of poetry. When I started to teach in earnest, I think I had this sort of assumed trajectory that I would work in high schools, and that I might eventually start teaching at the college level. And I did pursue an adjunct professorship at a local college and got it. And I'm absolutely not knocking colleges or the MFA programs in general, but it was interesting to me that among some of the teachers that I've encountered in colleges, there was, I tended to encounter this attitude among a lot of the teachers that no one's going to show me anything I haven't seen before. Nobody has an original idea. It's all rehash. My job is to break the will of the student, and I'm not going to smile at anybody until winter break. And when I was working at the high school level, there was a sense of adventure and enterprise, and the art form stays new and fresh invented. And the students routinely showed me things that I never saw coming and allowed me to look at poetry in ways that, that routinely challenge my understanding of what makes a poem and what poetry is for. Now, when we were invited to do this reading today, it was sort of pitched to me with the idea that Brendan Constantine will read along with some of his poets from the Windward school, but I just sort of assumed, yeah, okay, well, I'll make a few comments and I'll just turn it over to them. But then when I asked them who wanted to go first, that was nobody. So I'm going to read a few poems just to sort of cleanse the palate. Those of you that know me, you can go ahead and turn your sound off. You'll be able to tell when I'm done, and because there'll be a different face up here. After I'm done reading a few poems, I'm going to introduce you to Elliot Bobrow, Kaylee Diaz, and Ashley Rensselaer. To start off, though, here's some recent things. These are poems that, in one way or another, God appears. And this first one is really, really new. And I don't even know if this one should be out in the world, but I just wanted to do something that I haven't been reading. And you don't really need to know anything about this poem, except, did you know, does anybody know what the word Yosemite actually means?
Where's Big Hat?
Right, where's Big Hat? No, Yosemite actually means those who kill. And it refers to the Miwok people, who were, I guess, the local tribe in that area, and who were considered to be quite formidable. And so many other tribes feared them. I had assumed that once I knew that it was an indigenous term for those who kill, I just assumed it was, a colonial reference. But anyways, you don't need to know that for this poem, except the poem is called Yosemite, Those Who Kill. Today I heard a forest ranger say, "Don't interfere with the bears, or they'll fine you lots of money." For all the things an angry bear might do to me, open my blood, swallow my face, crush me like a bag of ice, I never dreamed they'd ask for money. $1,000, the ranger said. What in the world? What on the green and huddled earth could a bear possibly buy? And who would dare work the register? The whole thing sounds like a scam, like that summer when I was 5 and my aunt touched my belly and said, "This is where God lives." If that's true, I thought, he is so dead. And this is more specifically about the nature of God. This is a poem in which it started out talking to different people about what they thought God was. The first among them, I refer to Robert, and some of the longer-lived Los Angeles poets will recognize this as Robert Wynn, who later moved on to become a Texas poet. Heretical poem. My friend Robert wonders if God is the green light inside the escalator. I haven't asked my neighbor, but judging by his t-shirts, he thinks God is a seagull trapped in a rainbow. I heard my Greek grandmother say the word a few times, once when she burned her wrist on a stove, and again softly when I dyed my hair blue. It was a long time ago, and even God was younger. My mother believes in something, she says, even though everything points against it. My father believes, devoutly in fact, that everyone is equally wrong. This wrongness, he says, is divine. Sometimes when I'm driving, I speak aloud to the empty seat next to me. I ask questions, make demands, and rehearse what I would say to the past. If that isn't a prayer, I don't know what is. Unless your picture face down on the dresser is one. The cup I set on it yesterday. The hard sugar that survived the tea. This is really short. It's going to go by really quick, and it just seems to be on the same theme. And by the way, I'm not making up the tradition that I mentioned in this poem. I had a lot of time during lockdown to do some research. This is called Tinnitus. According to Christian tradition, the Virgin Mary was impregnated through her ear. In most depictions, the spirit is delivered by a figure, an angel, or the unborn Christ himself, blowing a golden trumpet with bright tracers of sound entering not her body, but her halo. Conceptio per aurem. She hardly seems to notice, but looks instead at whoever is talking to her. There's always someone, always male, another angel, or Joseph, or a lion. Her palm raised as if to tell them, no, please finish, I can wait. Okay, last one, and then I'm going to turn it over to my students. But it just seems like this would round out the set. My mom's not feeling well today. She just had the most recent COVID booster, which has really taken it out of her, and she's resting in the other room. But she appears in this piece. And I thank you all, by the way, for your attention and for coming and supporting this reading today. This is called World's End. My mother is sleeping while you read this. White hair spread across a pillow. She's on her back, mouth open, and you need to know this. Her teeth are gold and china. The radio is playing, low, a classical station, some opera or other, where people die believing love can be lost in a crowd. My mother breathes like a gallery, like 100 paintings of old ships. This really does concern you, because the sea is at your door, because my mother sleep talks on your behalf, because it gets late so early now. Thank you very much for that. Okay, I'm gonna introduce you to some poets, and I'm thrilled to be able to do this. I think one of the greatest, how should I put it? Gifts, really, that a teacher can have is to have intelligent students that disagree with them, and to have students that will challenge you on your ideas, and that won't just, whenever you lay out a principle, just go, oh, well, lovely. There's a maxim among teachers of art, and I'm sure some of you probably have heard either this one or different versions of it, that there are two kinds of students with whom it is impossible to work. One is the student that does nothing you suggest, but the other is the student that does everything you suggest. And the one that's going to do the interesting work is the one that's going to weigh everything, but then continue to make up their own mind. Likewise, a principle that I've always tried to emphasize in the classroom is, when we're looking at a poem and we're getting critique, if everybody in the room tells you that an image needs to come out of your poem or some big change needs to happen, I always say be suspicious of that. If everybody's thinking alike, somebody is not thinking. And so I feel as though, these students really sort of have exemplified that principle. And I'll start with Elliot, who, in the years that I've had him, in some years he's been in my class and he's taken years off and done other things and come back. And he has a variety of different interests. He loves to be talked about in the third person when he's in the same room. But Elliot has always challenged me. And if I give a prompt, Elliot's next question will be, oh, okay, but can I do it this way? It doesn't matter if I lay it out as well. Can I get rid of that word? Can I turn it on its head? Can I do it another way? Does it accept? Can I throw the whole thing in past tense or in future tense? Anyways, I'm very proud of this young man. I don't have no idea what he's going to read for us today. But Elliot, I've bought you as much time as I can. Take it away.
Thank you, Brendan. I'm actually starting with a poem that I got from a prompt in Brendan's class, which seemed fitting. The prompt was talk to an animal. So this is called What You Were Missing. Sometimes I climb onto the floor and sit with my eyes low so I can see the world like my cats do. The furniture and drawers tower above me as if they are only the gaps beneath themselves. The lamps are each their own sun, each patch of sunlight a lifetime. I pretend I know nothing. My cats watch from a distance. What do you think you're doing? They ask, and I respond with slow blinks. You will never see from our eyes, because when we are dead, you will be sitting on the floor wondering what you were missing. And they're right, and I stand up again, and all I see are the tops of things, and each patch of sunlight is only a discolored spot containing nothing. Thank you. This next piece is called Picture Books. When I was little, I swore on my life that I'd never stop liking children's books, even when I was too old for them. Sometime since, all my teeth fell out, and my hair and my tongue, and in their place grew cynical or wiser. Sometime since, a day became a short thing with no pictures. Somehow I put myself in black and white letters, and by the time I finished, I was wrong. Each footstep its own little grave, sprouting weeds and cherries, but I forgot where I left them, and they're all bitter and unripe anyways. Brendan is... thank you. And the third piece that I want to read is called Feathers and Baby Birds. The creature with its long arms and deep eyes, sometimes thrashing, sometimes dead. In the long minutes between 11 and 12, it watches One hand round the closet door, one rattles the window blinds. Its tears and cries of pain, a perfect mimic of the storm. Its free arms wrap around your bed, double knotted, pick you up and hold you. Letters on the ceilings, bolts of rain and apologies. Wind runs from safe to not safe, pulling feathers and baby birds to the chain-sized hole in your brain. You are hanging still today.
Elliot Bobrow in the house. Thank you so much. I had no idea what you were going to read today, and oh, what a delight! That was just wonderful. Do you have a fourth poem in your back pocket, or do you have
I could read a fourth poem. I know those were kind of short, so.
Can you give us just one more? I know you. I mean, you've got a room full of fans already. You've converted everyone.
All right, I will read a fourth poem. This one is called Fire and Light. It was only the two of us there after school. She pulled me up the stairs onto the roof, the air dark and heavy. We dangled our feet off a picnic table, the street rolling over the fence. Each car so far apart, we heard their tires scorch the road, two lights piercing the silent and empty night. One headphone in my ear, the other in hers, the music followed each car, filled each lit building with lives we couldn't comprehend. She stood up on the table and I did too, spinning, flying as each car stood in amber. Our feet tapped clanging echoes that disappeared before they ended, applauded by the moon and the glowing neon signs. We were the kings of the world. We saw each car at the intersection of all our lives. And the only life was mine, through my closed eyes, dreaming of the bright room below and all our costumes in neat rows inside.
Oh, Elliot, that was incredible. And to everybody joining us today, all three, if you haven't picked up on this yet, all three of these authors are still in high school. And if you're like me, that will only continue to infuriate you. And so, Elliot, thank you so much for starting us off today. That was just wonderful. I have to ask, and I'm going to ask everybody. Have you done other poetry readings? I know we've done stuff at school, but have you done coffee house readings or online readings like this before?
No, I haven't. I did one other with you 2 years ago, but that's
it.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Elliot Bobrow's first gig for a big poetry outfit. Well done. Okay, this goes on the resume. Next up, I'd like to introduce a poet who with whom I've had the pleasure of working, I think 2 years now. And the thing that I first think of with Kaylee is that Kaylee is absolutely game for anything. On the first day of class, first prompt I had, I was asking everybody to get ready, and notepads and tablets and computers were getting out. Kaylee was pretty much just like this, ready to go, ready for me to say start, and was one of the first people, to share, and the first person to completely, this is one of those poets too, that if I give a prompt in the class, if I ask Kaylee to share, they're the poet that always gets me to forget, I have to sit there and go, whoa, what was the prompt I gave? Because Kaylee will take it and some it's never just connecting the dots on a prompt. Kaylee routinely makes the poem entirely their own, and somehow manages to exemplify. I was just talking about this the other night at a gig. There is, to my mind, an unquestionable authority to the young artist. You could even call it the authority of the amateur, which is real and necessary to art. There is, I think, a great deal of artistic ground that will only ever be broken by the young artist. It cannot it cannot be broken by the older artist, and is off limits to the seasoned artist. You know, and I think it's, you know, and I've always strived as a writer myself to not get too confident, not to get too wise, so to speak, to always be teachable, to always be ready to have the doors blown off. And Kaylee is one of those authors that routinely blows the doors off, makes it sort of seem, you know, defies every expectation. Kaylee, have I eaten up enough time there? Have I built this up? Do you feel like you can take over from here? All right, cool. Ladies and gentlemen, Kaylee Diaz.
Thank you so much, Brendan. So this first piece, I just, the image that was really in my mind while writing it was just that I was walking on the sidewalk outside of my house, and there was an empty bird shell on the floor, and I saw that and I was like, that's something. Okay, so it's called Sunny Side Up. Sunny side up, on cracked concrete lifted by roots. Swallows sing, but 2 voices less than expected join the choir. The wings of their siblings were supported by strong winds that had shaken the nests a little too hard. Maybe they had been doomed to fall. But on summer nights, gusts carry the songs of a ghost choir into the stars. Thank you. This next piece is called Moth-Eaten Pages. If I told you I forgot, would you believe me? Your confidence in my memory astonishes me. If my memory were half as good as you think it is, I would be half a person better than I am. When will you learn that I am a history book, lent out to 50 different students with gum in between the pages? Will you learn that you are pleading with someone who left their dignity in their childhood bedroom, with the glow-in-the-dark stars still sticking to the peeling paint? And this last piece is called Blind Martyrs. There was a memorial to love on the concrete path in the garden. 2 inches from the edge of the path, its body stood alone. The cold marble of its skin was tightly coiled into infinity that ended with its head. Its eyeless head turned toward the sun, a monument to all those who would die for love. Did the warm touch of sunlight bring it comfort in its last moments, or did it simply feel the burning touch of love upon its skin? Perhaps it was God's final mercy to face the 2 lovers for an eternity that would last until the wind kicked it back to the dirt. Thank you.
Haley, thank you so much. And I hope both Elliot and Kaylee, I hope you've been paying attention to the chat. Although I think Kaylee is the first of you to get an F-bomb in comments right there. Bryn Wickard, you just could not contain yourself. That was amazing. Kaylee, it's up to you whether or not you want that as a blurb on the back of your first book. That's pretty amazing. Kaylee, did you happen to have a 4th one in your back pocket?
I do.
I would love to hear one, but I just want to ask you one question. And that's, I don't know that we ever covered this in the classroom, but I'd like to ask you about it. You were writing poetry before we met, yes?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay, and I'm curious. I'm curious what it occupies in your life right now. I mean, would you say that you are routinely working on a poem? At most of the time, there's always something in the book that you're chipping away at, or where is it? Because I know you only through the school, and I know that a Windward class load is formidable. So at your age and where you are right now, I mean, is there always a poem brewing in a book somewhere or not?
I think that's actually why part of why I like your class so much. It's because it's like the only space that I have that's strictly dedicated to writing and that I can just like fully use that time for myself.
Well, I won't retire till you graduate. Okay. That's wonderful. Okay, what can you hit us with?
This one actually came from a prompt that you gave, and the prompt was "Go to hell," and that's the name of.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Yeah.
Full disclosure. Full disclosure. Okay. For anybody that's concerned about what's going on in my classroom here, okay, okay. Sometimes we do what's called free writing, and I'll put a line on the board, and everybody gets 5 minutes to just run with that. But I also trade free writing prompts with other people, one of whom is my sister, who teaches writing up in Portland, Oregon. And on one particular day, I said, "Do you have a good free write?" And she just said, "Yes, go to hell," which I then said, "Okay." And I put it on the board in the classroom. I said, "Hey, you got time to run with this." So that's okay. I did not tell my students to go to hell. I just want, for the record. Okay.
Okay. You tell me you'll pray for me. But what sin have I committed? My sins are my own. I shall care for them, nurture them in a way you chose not to. Do not pray for me, for I know I am damned. But I will not cry. I accepted my death the day I turned 10, while you spent your whole life building yours.
Well, that was the note to end on. That was amazing. Thank you so much for that. Oh my gosh. You knew it from the time you turned 10. What an incredible image. Okay, well, see what I'm telling you, folks? I mean, they're just, I'm so proud of these writers. Our third poet for the day, I've known the longest of these poets, and Ashley Rensselaer and I have been sharing classrooms since the 7th grade. But I just learned about something I didn't know, which was that actually Ashley and I had met just before that, because the school routinely has these events where they will invite 6th graders to come and visit the school and do little 20-minute samplings of the classes that are offered at Windward. And Ash, you said that's where we met, was you came and you took my little 20-minute preview. Is that right?
Yeah, it was one of the ones at night.
Oh my gosh. So it's been like 6.5 years that we've been working together. Oh my gosh, it is a delight, folks, to tell you about this poet. This is a writer who has, I've seldom met, writers, of any age and in any context who were so willing to experiment, to take risks, to start over, to try again, and to again, as I said of the first two poets, to just make the art form completely their own. It didn't matter what I was assigning or what I was suggesting. And I should emphasize this again, in contexts like these where you have a teacher presenting their students, there seems to be this sort of unspoken attitude of like, look at what the teacher did with these students. And the truth of the matter is all I ever did was point at some shiny things, but this is all their work. This is their imagination, their inventiveness. I have zero to do with this. I provided a classroom and some things for them to chew on, but their responses were entirely their own. And Ashley Rensselaer routinely, makes the art form entirely her own, and also exemplifies another principle, which I think is so important, which is that it is not enough to just make our own work, that you have to be encouraging the artists around you. And to that end, Ashley Rensselaer is the founder of wordsandwhispers.com. Is it .com or .org?
.org.
.org, forgive me, wordsandwhispers.org. A literary journal founded how long ago?
2020, whenever that was.
And if I remember correctly, it was originally founded with the intent to showcase younger authors, but you've started getting submissions from heavyweights. I believe you just published something by Eloise Klein-Healy.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is a great journal, and we'll Ash, at some point make sure you put the address for the magazine in the chat, folks. If you're looking for a place to submit, Words and Whispers is a great place to start. It's a beautiful journal. I know that you will be as impressed as I am with it. And again, I have no idea what Ash is going to share with us today, but I'm awfully proud to introduce her to you. Ashley, please take it away.
So the first poem I'll read is titled To Sun and Sappho. I want to live like a lit body, limbs visible in the dead of night to a nocturnal man, to lips praising the length of fire and hands miming an ode to Sun and Sappho. I will never know how to spin and stand. No Aphrodite resides in my nesting place, just the world's caprice in my soaked feet. For a moment, I gather her golden chickpeas in seconds of kissing, a touch heavy enough to fill the earth, body opening like a spring umbrella. What is the right way to accept an offering? Bow like a dandelion in the thick red rain. At dawn, there is a skinned rabbit in my bed, and I know a heart sunk is a heart extinct. Memory is the bone chewed in the haste of the feast. I live in the age of analogy. I am a tiger pacing in wait. I am a sparrow on the last flight, a fox amongst millions. We must pause. We must be vigilant for signs of love. Thank you. Okay, so.
I'd be clapping, but I was busy writing. Your memory is the bone chewed in the haste of the feast. Holy shit. Okay, sorry.
My second poem is titled Nonconformity. And I have risen to the bear, the dream and imitation, to love my country in small ridiculous beats, to pray to stone gods inside her towering cathedral, with her Gothic mimicking turrets and traceries, her winter white edges shielding the light from leaking through and making the world seen, with her false history and foreign tongues slashing against the slabs of the sacrament, faux glories, faux freedom, faux face. I look like every girl I know. We all stand in a straight line for a photograph of our ancestors. In my mind, dear Akhmatova, I name myself every day from scratch. I put a spell, I lick the devil, I turn inside out, the ocean touches me and I become it. Okay, so my third poem is titled The Way of It. Listen, this is the way of it. We open our eyes and it rains, splinters of ice, sharp digs that you can miss if you duck. I want to be more like a shield, something that prevents, something that keeps other things warm and unharmed. I am, however, a sieve letting things through, a leaking pipe, a kind of window screen at the mercy of the winter wind. We open our chests and out blows the litany of needles and narratives. Listen, this is the thumping sound of hooves in my blood and yours. There is only one way to make love. There is only one way to save the world.
Damn. There's only one way to make love. There's only one way to save the world. That's. Oh, Ashley, thank you so much for those pieces. And for anybody that's wondering that I keep referring to a fourth poem as one in the back pocket, is because when we originally were planning this reading, we thought everybody would do 3 pieces. And I'd said to them at the last minute, oh, make sure you've got a fourth poem, you know, sort of up your sleeve, as it were. Ashley, do you have a fourth one? Can you give us a one last closer for you?
Sure. This one's titled Echo. I let you echo my name from a cavernous cliff like morning bells, trampling the dawn with their tonal wrecking. A blue thing emerges and lengthens and fades. I am a lot like a chameleon, but softer and a woman. This is not a chance encounter. I am addicted to what kills, to what flames the throat.
Damn. Okay. Yeah. That's the one to chew on there. Oh my goodness. Some of you have never seen one of these before. It's a landline and it's reading. This is a telephone, by the way. Just a moment. Hello. That happens a lot. Okay, sorry. Just couldn't waste that opportunity. Elizabeth Iannacci and Jerry Garcia, I know that you know, there's a format to these things. We're really grateful that you've had us today. I'm curious. I thought, did we mention? Did you mention that there was going to be a Q&A of some kind? Is there? Should I turn the event back over to you, Elizabeth? I think you're muted.
You're still on mute, Liz.
Oh, there. Okay, how's that? You can hear me now? Okay.
Sorry.
I would very much, first of all, thank you all so much. That was absolutely incredible. I'm humbled and just delighted. And I can't wait to see your work in the future. And this is just terrific. I'd like to open it up to if anybody has any questions. And please, Bryn, can you moderate questions for me? Since my vision is so limited.
Definitely.
Thank you. So anybody have any questions or have any comments that they want to throw out there?
Well, I can say for sure that all of the comments are overwhelmingly positive for you guys. Tremendous work, really. So far, there's no questions, but one from me would be what or who influences your writing? Is there anything or anyone that really connects the dots for you or inspires you? All three of you guys, go ahead. Anytime. Oh, we're shy.
No.
That's okay. You guys are excellent. You guys, you let your work speak for yourself. That's perfectly fine.
Okay, I'll answer. For me, I get a lot of inspiration from other poets. All the poems that I read today were actually from a collection that I did responding to female poets. So I responded to Sappho and Anna Akhmatova and a few others. But I get a lot of inspiration from reading other poetry and just the poets in general. I like kind of creating a dialogue with them. That's what the collection is called.
Phenomenal. And it's nice to hear that classical influence definitely come through in your work. Do either of you or any of you have any upcoming publications? Or I know that some of you, this is your first feature. Are you open to other features in the future? Should we be networking for you?
Say yes.
There you go.
The students worked very hard in the last year on a literary journal, which is about to premiere. As a matter of fact, because I wanted to make sure that they were the first to see it, we just got them back from the printer. In fact, round of applause to Rick Lupert, who was here, who did our formatting for us on that book. but it has just come out and I've got an unopened box of them in the car that I'm going to be showing to the students tomorrow. It's called It's All Coming Back to Me. And we don't typically distribute this outside the campus, but if anybody's interested in a copy, do reach out to us and let us know. That's coming out tomorrow. And a shout out that I don't think a bow that the students I don't think will take on their own unless I emphasize it, is that this year, not only does the journal contain their wonderful work, but it closes with writing prompts at the end. And so there's quite a few of them, actually. So the end of the book actually has blank pages, and you can use it to follow some of the prompts that they not only did, but prompts that they came up with. So let us know if you're interested in a copy of It's All Coming Back to Me. So that's coming out. Ashley, Elliot, Kaylee, do you have any gigs coming up or other readings you're doing or other poetry highlights on the horizon? Ash, when's the next issue of the journal coming out?
December 1st, issue 10. So
Issue
you're all
10
welcome
of
to
Words and
submit.
Whispers?
Yes.
Fantastic. And are you accepting submissions right now?
Yes, we're always accepting submissions.
So if there are poets in the house that want to submit to wordsandwhispers.org, please, by all means, do that.
Definitely.
Carmen Fought, did you have a question?
I could. Do we have time?
Yes.
Oh, plenty of time.
Okay, I'm just curious. For me, sometimes I find if I'm sitting down with a piece of paper and a pen, I don't have anything to write in terms of poetry. But if I'm somewhere where I don't have a way to write it down, like in the shower or driving in my car, that's when I'll get all the ideas. I was just curious for young people, when do you tend to have more success writing a draft of something you're happy with? Is it more when you like make the time and sit down and do it, or does it happen at other random moments, or is it there's no pattern to it? I'm just curious where the ideas, where you get really in the spirit of writing.
I would say that for me, it really depends. Because sometimes I'll just have like really good ideas, like while I'm sitting down in class and like just thinking of like actively trying to think of something. But then there are other times that I write really good poems that I really like at like 2 a.m. while I'm doing homework. So it's a toss up, really.
I love that you're doing homework at 2 a.m. It takes me back. So, yeah. Elliot, what about you? Where are you? There you are.
I'm here. I think it's the same for me. Usually I get an idea when I'm like doing something else, and then I have to decide like, is this worth setting down and writing it down?
Mhm.
So yeah, I'd agree. It's usually inconvenient times when I get good ideas.
Mitch Hedberg talks about like, as a comic, he would say that, sometimes, he would get an idea in the middle of the night. And if he was too tired to get to his pen, then he would have to sit there in bed and try to convince himself that what he thought of wasn't funny. And, have you done that? If you sat there and like you're too tired and you just start talking and say, it wasn't a good poem. It wasn't a good idea. It wasn't,
Well, I always try to come up with some kind of mnemonic device to remember, and I go through these associations because I'm too tired to get up and write it down. And then the next morning, the associations associate to nothing. So, all of that. And of course, it was the best idea for a poem ever, ever, ever. That's lost forever. So it's always the one that got away.
Yeah. I have a question for Brendan. Brendan with a glass of water. Without trying to get political here, what sort of latitude do you have? And how many students do you have, and what kind of sort of latitude do you have in how you explain poetry to them?
what sort of latitude do I have as far as how I can explain poetry? In other words, are you saying?
Well, I'm looking at, these other states with all the book banning and all that, and I know there's a small cohort of people in California that would like to do that too. But do you have any restrictions in what you teach them?
I've been very lucky over the years, not just at Windward, but at other schools where I'm a guest teacher. So far, no one has ever interfered with what I wanted to present to a class. And of course, the students, are always a heck of a lot more prescient than anyone's willing to give them credit for. I have yet to present, say, a poem to a class like by, say, Carolyn Forche or somebody like that who's willing to get, very, very real and give you a poem where the stakes are very high. And have students respond with like, oh, that was too intense for me, or that was too, I haven't had that happen. And of course, it makes all the difference to have, students that, like the ones that you've just heard from today, who are so game. The school has never really gotten in there and asked to micromanage my curriculum. In fact, they've never so much as asked to see a syllabus.
Wow.
They were much more interested in the results, and the results have been, as you see, conscientious, mature young writers who, are producing really interesting work and who would obviously do credit to the school. I've not had it any other way, and that might be dumb luck, but the school Windward has always given me a great deal of room there. And I guess that's a really good endorsement of Windward. Some of you may not know this, but I know some of our longer-lived LA poets will recognize Shirley Windward, who was the founder of the school and was of a particular generation of LA poets like Sherman Pearl, like Charles Bukowski, Nan Hunt, and Gedda Ives, who's in the room with us today. That generation of LA authors, and she. She was emphatic that, once we had a creative writing program, which pretty much started with me, that it have sort of free reign and have a lot of room. So I have a lot of latitude. Only once in my career has anybody asked that I think better of showing a poem to a particular class. And I won't say who the person was who got in there, but I will say, there was a class where I wanted to teach an Amiri Baraka poem, and a person responsible for the school said, he's got too much heat on him right now, and I don't think we can, I don't think we can get behind that. And I had to really think about, like, was I going to go ahead and do it anyway, or but it was a Mary Baraka poem that had inspired a great deal of work among the classes that I'd showed it to. It was a poem called Preface to a 20-volume Suicide Note.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a very, very strong poem. And, and of course, the way to do that in a contemporary classroom was to go ahead and present the work, but also let the students know why this poet was controversial, and let them make their own decisions about it. So.
Well, thank you for that thoughtful answer. So far in the chat, the question that is coming up most is how to cover postage for the journals that these young people are in, and if anything can be sent to the Windward School in terms of compensation for that.
Elliot, Ash, Kaylee, I guess we're going to sell some copies of the book, which we hadn't really planned to do. So I figured, how about this? Why don't I correspond? I'll exchange emails with the folks in the chat there. I'll arrange getting some books sold. We'll, I believe the school, since we've only got 4 or 5 people stepping up here, and this isn't something that we were necessarily going to sell outside the school, I figure I can get Windward to cover postage, and we'll turn over any funds that we make on this to the publication fund so that we can do some publication events on campus for it. So we're going to charge $10 for the book, and I will arrange with the folks on how to pay for those copies of the book. We will mail you your copies, and just know that the money is going to go to the students to put a little wind under their wings so that they can create an event on campus promoting the book. And you'll be covering snacks and refreshments for that.
Excellent. That's perfect. The money that they make for their poetry should be spent on food. I think that's wonderful.
Yeah, Rick Lupert, by the way, is a wonderful proponent of that philosophy. The first time I sold a poetry book, he said, "Okay, you've got to buy food."
David Gale told me that when I got published for the first time and made money off of it.
He said you got to buy food, and that way you feed yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I stole that from Matthew Mars back when he was Matthew Niblock. That was it's him who I'm quoting when I say that.
Okay, so if you sell poetry, buy food.
That's so nice that's like I clearly like been a thing that's been passed down from poet to poet in the LA community. I love that. Thank you all so much for joining us. To Elliot and Ashley and Kaylee, thank you so much for joining us. Congratulations. Please do consider dropping by to the VCP and joining our readings. We would love to have you, and we will connect you in the community if you want to. We will get you gigs. Please join us.
And yeah, this was a phenomenal reading. I really want to thank you for your enthusiasm, for your wonderful work. Brendan, as always, it was absolutely astonishing to have you here. Next month, we're doing an earlier Sunday because of the holiday. So it'll be November 13th, which is in 3 weeks. And we're going to have Cecilia Wallach, who will be coming to us from Poland, from Rzeszów, Poland, Karine Topal, coming to us from Long Beach, and Colin Kelly, who will be coming to us from Atlanta, Georgia. So I encourage you all to come and attend that. These are 3 poets that know each other well and know each other's work, and they're all phenomenal. And it will be a splendid afternoon of poetry. Thank you all for coming. Jerry, do you have anything to add, or Bryn, or anyone?
I would just invite people to check out our webpage, vcpsocal.org. And I put it in the chat there, and through that you can see past readings that we've had. You can sign up for our mailing list so that you can be notified of future readings like this. And the last thing I have to say is thank you. Thank you. Just wonderful, wonderful, wonderful readings.
Thank you all, everybody.
Thank you.
Ashley, Elliot, Kaylee, I'll see you in class tomorrow. If you can join me for lunch on the CTL, I'm going to show you guys the journal. Okay. All right. All right, everybody.
Thank you.
Bye.
Of course. And you guys can message
Awesome.
Brendan at Constantine@windwardschool.org.
Right.
Got it.
I'll send you a book.
Awesome.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
All for coming.
Great seeing you.
Fabulous.
Jenna,
Absolutely
great to
fabulous.
see you.
Ciao.
So many wonderful faces I haven't seen in ages. So thanks again. And oh, Getta, hello, darling.
Yeah. Love seeing you, Getta. It's been so long.
Far too long.
Yeah.
It's a miracle I got in. I'm terrible with computers.
Oh,
Thank you for coming.
I'm glad you're
Thank you
here.
so much. And it was so wonderful to see you all and to hear Brendan and the 3 other poets. Congratulations, Brendan. I think you have a wonderful material there. And I liked Ashley's poem, taking into consideration that my hearing aids are not that good. So you can imagine. But anyway, thank you very much and congratulations. Brendan, I haven't seen you for ages.
Brendan's left the room.
Yeah, we will definitely
We'll pass that
Yes,
on.
yeah. Elizabeth, just pass on to him.
You take care, everybody.
Thank
See you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you so much.
See you
Bye-bye.
on the 13th.
Bye.
Arrivederci.